Guys, yes, yes. You listen. Wipe your eyes. It's true. James and Jack are sat on a chair, cameras out in their living room. Well, I'm in my room. Jack's probably in his living room right now, recording, talking about football. And I know what you guys are thinking. Where the hell have you guys been? We've been
Yeah,
busy. I've been generally busy. Just came back from work. Probably Jack's the same. Don't have that much time, and yeah, just a lot, guys, going on. But we will try to be as consistent as we possibly can. Jack, is there anything you want to share with us before we get into this
well,
podcast?
yeah, I mean, I think obviously there's probably a little bit, I don't want to speak for you, but there's probably a little bit of like apologies, like where we've been and whatnot. But our last upload was the end of October, and then the end of the year comes at you like really, really fast. I'm busy. I work at this brewery now, which I'm really enjoying with work, but it can be quite full on at times as well. I know James is doing all sorts of stuff with coaching, not just the coaching. Running a business that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort as well. And I know following James on social media as well, time for yourself and time with loved ones and friends and stuff is really important as well, because I think we tried to do a bit of a schedule, it felt like, that was quite demanding. Like it was multiple videos a week while doing full-time jobs, and predictions videos, reactions videos, all sorts of stuff. And it was quite challenging. So I'll be honest with everybody watching, it's probably going to be you get it when you get it. I hope that's okay with the people the people watching, the people subscribed who are still subscribed. Thank you very much. But yeah, we're all good. Just it's just been a few months.
Yeah, we have, but like, guys, I know you want to get into the football. Let's talk about it. And I gotta check where we and Jack were last time we checked in with you, and there's been a lot that's happened since. A lot that's happened since. But let's talk into probably our most well-known topic, and that's the Premier League. And let's start at the top, Jack, with the Premier League, and that's Liverpool. It seems right now 15 points clear at the top. Who is going to stop or catch Liverpool, or is it inevitable? Is the title race completely over in Dunley?
I think it's over. So this the way I kind of worked this out. I think it was actually Paul Merson who said this in the post-match analysis. It's 10 games left, right? That's 30 points potentially, right? Ahead in terms of the points between Liverpool and Arsenal is 15. So that means that Arsenal have to double Liverpool's points total, and that's just to be level. That's not even to beat them. And Liverpool are just on this crazy run. They've just gone through this kind of difficult spell of potentially like banana skin type matches. So as far as I'm concerned, it's over. I'm not. I am a betting man, but this is not. I don't think you're going to get good odds on Liverpool winning the league. And James, look, I'll be honest. I don't know if I've watched Liverpool play and I've been absolutely blown away with how fantastic a team they've been. Like, I don't think they're going to be a threat in the Champions League, but they wouldn't be my pick to win the Champions League. I think the biggest letdown for me this season, especially when it comes to the title race, has been it doesn't really feel like Liverpool have competed with somebody else who have been at their best. And again, I know we'll probably have a good 10, 15 minutes on Arsenal here at some point, but Man City have really dropped the ball. It feels to me like Arsenal are a weaker version of themselves from the last couple of years. Chelsea, I think there was a point where we thought, oh my God, watch out, everybody. And then they kind of fell away. I don't know. It feels like it's been kind of Liverpool without a massive amount of competition. Like, Jen, title's going to be over in May, in my opinion. I don't know if you would agree with that, but that's just my opinion.
Um, I get that, Jack. I get that a lot. And I think it's disappointing to see with the amount of games we have left that there probably is not going to be a title race. Liverpool can win the title in the next 5 games or so, which is disappointing. But you have to be honest, Liverpool have taken advantage of a poor Man City team and an Arsenal team just not at their races. But fair play to them. They absolutely deserve it, Jack. They've only lost one game this season. And every single time that you sit there, you want them to drop points or like they're in a compromised position and looking to lose, they pull something out. And that might be Allison making one hell of a save. It might be Virgil van Dijk having a heroic performance. It might be Mo Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold. I can name Szoboszlai, Gavin Birch. Somebody doing something big for them. They always come out with something. And I think the PSG game personifies how Liverpool's season's kind of been. Stayed in it, and staying in it very, very resilient, and when the moment comes to take their chances, they do so. They have killers all around the football field, and it's disappointing for me as an Arsenal fan. But I take it back to me. The most important part of this season was when I think Liverpool went away to Brentford, and it's 0-0. What going into extra time, and Darwin Núñez pulls out a goal, and they end up winning it 2-0, and I'm on my way to the Emirates, and I'm seeing 0-0. I'm bopping. And then
Right.
As I took the stairs, I see Darwin Núñez goal. My heart sinks, and then I make my way to the Emirates. Arsenal 2-0 up cruising, and that 2-0 ends up being 2-2, and just up and down emotions. And it went from being it went from being a potential 4 point gap to a 7 point gap, and Liverpool's high is even more higher because they believe that they don't even have to play well to win games, and then that train
Right.
just keeps on going for them. And that to me is a big moment in the title race. Another big moment: Arsenal not taking advantage in January and signing an attacker. I think Arsenal.
So I'm worried now that we're going to spend the entirety of this video on this topic because it irritates me so much. Because, and again, I want to be totally honest with you here, as I try to always be. I really liked Arsenal for a couple of years, but we're
Mhm.
in this really weird kind of zone at the moment where I'm starting to kind of almost weirdly dislike some of the Arsenal players and the setup and the fan base and some of their opinions because they're kind of acting like they're this team that that they're in round 7 of the boxing match and they've won a couple rounds here and there, like they've won a title, they've won a cup, they've done this, they've done that, they've broken a couple of records, blah blah blah. We really haven't seen any of that. And there's a certain level of entitlement, I guess, that I don't really like, which is not necessarily being backed up by silverware or necessarily the performances. So I'm noticing a lot on my social feed, and again, that's not representative of real life, but of these kind of petty things that I haven't followed massively closely, but the rival, the stay humble, and all this kind of stuff, and the celebrations and all this kind of stuff. Again, I remember seeing a tweet about like Rice scored against Man United and was like shushing the fans. And it's like this team, I know it's Man United and I know it's Old Trafford and whatnot, but it's like they're 14, like, 15 points off the pace. And your ownership, and again, please correct me here if I'm wrong, your ownership hasn't backed your manager with a striker of any description over the past however many windows. And also, as I understand it, Villa set a price for Ollie Watkins, which Arsenal were going to pay, and then they bid like 20 mil under it. Then they sold John Duran, and then kind of in the last part of the window, they put a bid in that was just under the amount that they wanted, which then got rejected because they'd already sold John Duran from Villa. And I just beggars belief. Like, if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be screaming to pay way over the odds, pay 150 mil for Isak, for somebody like that, or roll the dice, take a risk on Sesko, Gyökeres, take a risk, take a risk. You and I both know top caliber strikers are not in the same quantities that they were back in the day. We know that the game's changed, loads more of these inside forwards and number 10s and types of players as opposed to out and out number 9s. But roll the dice, take a risk, because I guarantee you, if you go absolutely balls out and get Isak, when you come back in the next 5 years with 2 or 3 Premier League titles, I think you and I will both sit here and go, worth it. What an investment. Even if you roll the dice on Sesko, Gyökeres, Vlahovic, for goodness sake, it might work and you might come back with the title as well. I'm not an Arsenal fan, but you can tell how irritated and frustrated I am watching it happen. You must be in pieces about it. It makes
Ja-
no sense to me, James.
Jack, I think this is the classic case of counting your eggs. I mean, counting your chickens before they hatch. You know,
Right.
we looked at where we were the last 2 seasons, how close we've been, and be like, no worries, this season is a season. I remember I went to the pub to go watch a final game of last season, and I said to all my friends, guys, I'm gonna see you here the same. Listen, I'm gonna see you here the same time next this season. And like we're all gonna be celebrating Arsenal winning our first Premier League title in almost 20 years. That's what I expected.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, granted, Liverpool have taken advantage, but we just, to me, have left another Premier League title on the table. And in a big time way, for us not to sign a player, for instance, we knew that we were short in the summertime. Yeah. Then Obviously, Saka gets injured. Gabriel Martinelli gets injured. Jesus gets injured, and not just injured, out for a long period of time. You know that. You then go into January knowing that, okay, we have all these injuries. We have to sign an attacker. In fact, our manager even said we have to sign not just a striker, multiple attackers to help bolster like this whole attack that to me has become stale. We go through
Right.
whole January and we don't sign a player. And come to the end of January, you know what happens? One of our biggest attacking threats, Kai Havertz, who isn't even that good, he gets injured. And now we find ourselves, guys, we got no
Mikel,
attackers.
M- Mikel, you're in a title race. Mikel Marino's starting up front for you. And again, look, I agree with what most of the pundits have said. Like, he's a player who's technically gifted, tactically aware, has a bit of physical attributes about him. He can hold the ball up for a second, 2 seconds, play a nice pass off to the side. But he's not going to do any dynamic movement, run in behind, channels, blah, 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 or proper box out somebody as a target man. It's not going to happen. Like they were so toothless against Man United, and I just remember thinking like, okay, yeah, anyway,
Jack, I feel it's so frustrating because I think when I look at Arsenal, their build up, we get into so many good areas. But
right.
you getting into these good areas, you need people in the right areas to finish it off. And us not putting them players in the right areas, it just beggars belief. Arsenal's front three right now is not even probably not even top 10 in the Premier League. To have
And
Mikel Marino, to have
right,
Wanier who's done really well, and Trossard as your front three, that's embarrassing if you want to win a Premier League title. You compare that to what Man City had in bulk. You compare that to what, for instance, I don't know, Liverpool have. You look at Liverpool. I want you to listen to this. What Liverpool have. They have Szoboszlai, yeah. They have Gakpo, Nunes, Jota, Salah. Jack, listen to that five there. Players like Elliott coming off the bench, Luis Diaz. That's seven attackers that at any point they can change the game. How many times has Slot made a substitution that's had a big effect on the result? It happens so many times. Elliott comes on, has an effect. Nunes has an effect. Arsenal don't have that. We look at the bench and I'm seeing, well, oh, for an attacking change, we're going to put on Kieran Trippier and Ben White.
right.
That don't work, Jack. Especially when you want to win a
Kieran
title.
Tierney,
I
yeah,
mean, sorry,
Kieran
I'm
Tierney.
sorry. I'm
But,
like Kieran Terry and Ben White. That don't work. And
but the
I just,
thing
it's just,
is, I said some names, right? I think Isak's in the budget. I actually do. I mean, it might mess up your whole summer budget, but I don't think that's a problem.
Jack, you have to break the bank. Jack, for me at this point, you have to break the bank. But I said to myself,
Mateta,
Jack, to me,
Mateta,
yeah, Mateta, but I want somebody who's going to come in and change life for us. I want
I agree. I
somebody.
agree.
Listen, I said to myself, if we had to wait for the summer to get somewhere like Alexander Isak, I'm willing to do so. But as long as we get the man that we wanted, not just the man, multiple men. So it might be
Right,
an Alamona Lookman who's probably looking to get out of like Atlanta. We've been screaming out for a direct left winger for God knows how long right now. A
David,
bit more, a
Jonathan
bit
David.
exactly, a bit more of a challenge for like Bukayo Saka, an attacker that can come in. Another challenge for Martin Odegaard to me because he's getting stale and he needs somebody to really put a rocket up his ass and I know that you have to perform week in and week out or somebody's going to come on and take your place. We need this sort of stuff going forward. Jack, in January, I'm waiting for these attackers. I'm seeing us are going in for a defensive midfielder.
Let me ask you then. I know again he's not lit it up in at Palace, right? But do you look at Eddie Nketiah and think, oh, maybe we'd be? I mean, don't get me wrong, Eddie Nketiah is not the answer and is not going to be the starting number nine to Arsenal winning a league. But like, as far as I'm concerned, Eddie Nketiah would potentially offer something better as a central striker than Mikel Marino. No,
Jack, I'll take you as a striker right now. We just need
yeah,
something.
there we go,
We just need.
exactly.
I don't. If it's Eddie Nketiah, if it's Eddie Nketiah, whoever, yeah, we need something. You know,
So this
Eddie
is this is a,
Rockets. Listen, Lakers and five.
this this is a bit of a deep dive, obviously, but I don't know how across you are on the under 18s, the under 21s. Any kids in there who actually play the position and might offer something different to Mikel Marino?
Jack, I'm not too. I think the big one that everyone's talking about is Max Dow, but I just think he's
Okay.
14. Jack's way too young to be coming in right now, and he's
Yeah.
not even
Bloody hell.
an attacker. Don't get it twisted. I think Arsenal do have players in there, but again, we already have Miles Lewis-Skelly in there, who's had multiple red cards this year. Ethan Wanyeri, who's done really well.
Yep.
I want that player who's going to come in and change life, and I think the one thing I'm disappointed with also is Raheem Sterling. I expected big things for him. In fact, I was excited about that signing just to see where he is. I think the difference between Raheem Sterling right now is motivation. His motivation was at a time was up here. Now it's just down here. He doesn't seem to have the same hunger that he did as a kid, which is understandable. You look at what he's won in his life, but I think I would have loved to see him more or less wanting to prove a point. But I think it's disappointing from Arsenal and all this notion that we had world class football players, that we have this a world class manager. Guys, you see, all this world class, all this bigging up, guys. Get the job done, Jack. I've said it for 3, 4 seasons right now. Until we get the job done, we can't crown these guys. We can't crown Bukayo
Oh,
Saka. We can't crown your Marinado guy. We can't crown William Saliba as the best. Liverpool have the best. Real Madrid have the best. Barcelona have the best. Bayern Munich have the best. Why? Because they win. They get the job done. Arsenal for so long right now have failed and failed and failed and failed to get the job done. And I
yeah.
think the biggest thing is that you see Arsenal, it's such this up and down club. We win 7-1 against PSG and then we pull out that performance against Manchester United and you're like, what's going on? You
What's
just
going
don't
on?
know.
Yeah.
You just don't know what you're gonna get. But I don't want to get too emotional talking about Arsenal right now. Let's move on. Let's talk
Yeah.
about,
Let's make your life a little bit
you know
easier
what, Jack?
or
I
sound
want to
better.
bring this up.
Spurs? I
Uh,
was going to
let-
say
I
Spurs,
will,
but go ahead.
let's go a little bit higher than Spurs right now, and
Okay.
let's go talk about the champions elect Liverpool and their Egyptian king Mo Salah. Jack, I'm gonna find the numbers here. Just hold up there for a minute. I don't know, Jack. You might need to sing a song as I pull up these numbers. So I
No,
don't.
it's all good. Well,
Okay, so Jack, let me
yeah, go
pull up the
ahead.
numbers right now. So Mo Salah, yeah, has had 27 goals and 17 assists this season, Jack.
Insane.
The
Yeah.
numbers are numbering. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's an average of 44 goals. I mean, 44 goal involvements this year with 9 games to go. He could easily get a 2030 season, Jack. And if he gets a 2030 season, he's pulling out Messi and Ronaldo, Thierry. He's surpassing them. And the question I have for you, they'll go on to win the league. Mo Salah, he's 7 goals clear of Erling Haaland. How many goals clear of the next guy in assist? And he's 7 goals, 7 assists clear of the next player in assist. Yeah. Is this the greatest Premier League in the individual Premier League season of all time? And is he the greatest Premier League player of all time? 2 questions I want you to see. Can you answer for me?
I, I feel really difficult crowning him as the greatest Premier League player of all time because I'd want a bit of time to think about it, look at some other names, and do all that kind of stuff. Um, it really is one of the most competitive Premier League seasons ever. So I was going to say, the level of competition's not quite been as good, blah, 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 but they've just been that step above. So in a one-off Premier League season, is it the best ever? Yeah, it might be. And I'll tell you why. And you might think, yeah, well, next place of 15 points off. It's kind of because of his performances. If you look at his influence in terms of winning these games, he's going to be the main difference maker across. I know they all get goals, but his numbers are staggering compared to the rest of the team. He doesn't
Scary.
have anybody coming close. And James, look, anybody who's been following this channel for long enough knows my opinions on Mo Salah. Guys, I'm a Roma fan, right? I'm aware of who Mo Salah is. We've seen Chelsea Mo Salah. We've done Basel. We've done I've seen him at Roma. He was great at Roma. When we sold him, I thought, nah, like not the craziest thing in the world. Went to Liverpool. I think you know my opinion. He was in a system that was custom built for him. He was playing right wing, but we all know he was the most forward central striker player, and it was just basically goals were just drip fed to him. James, he's come on leaps and bounds, even from those first couple of years where his numbers were crazy. He's now doing stuff himself and basically putting the team on his back. He doesn't need to put the team on his back because the team is good and he's good. So we're at a point now where he's different gravy. I'm still not comfortable putting him in those kind of all-timer debates in terms of football players all time because I think the kind of freak level numbers throughout the basically the entirety of a career of a Ronaldo Messi type is kind of a different level. If we just talk about it within a Premier League setting, I mean, he's I mean he's got to be the starting right winger for the Premier League all time 11. I think he's definitely there.
Um, is this the greatest Premier League season of all time? I think so. You
It
look at
might
the
be.
numbers, Jack. You look at the numbers, and not just the numbers, Jack. The influence. This time when I sat there and I just knew that it's inevitable. This guy's gonna deliver. This guy's gonna do something unbelievable. I think Mo Salah he's smart because he's not doing what he used to do, where he's running relentlessly off the ball. No, he picks and chooses his moments. And I think the biggest thing for him is that when he gets the ball, it's either a give and go for a through ball, and the amount of chances that he's created for that 17 that he had there, that could easily be 25 to 30 already if Darwin Núñez and players around him were actually on job in front of goal. Jack, this guy has reinvented himself in a way that is just scary, and just you add all the Liverpool attackers, he sits on the level above them combined.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
Jack,
100%.
what he has delivered for this Liverpool team is that everything's going wrong. Everyone's chilled because we know Mo Salah is going to do something. It's just customary. You see Mo Salah on the edge of the box, you just know what he's going to do. Open up that body and look to whip it. And Jack, we've seen on so many occasions. We see it in training. It is relentless, and it just keeps on coming. It keeps on coming. And even when he's not playing well, all he needs is one moment. This is
Why?
just
But what I think they've done, and I think what Slot's done, is he's there and he's a problem. So already defensively, managers are double teaming, triple teaming him when they need to. But the team around him is not that far removed that you can just deal with Salah and we're going to win the game or we're going to get a draw here. No, because if you try and deal with Salah, you have all those names you mentioned at the beginning of the video when we were talking about Arsenal. Because let's say I'm making this up, triple team Salah. Well, somebody's got to look out for Jota, Nunez, and Gakpo, and Diaz, and all these other names. Because if you don't, then you're going to be in trouble anyway. So he even if you solve the Salah problem, the other 10 players are pretty handy as well, which again is why they're champions. And again, not to drag it back to Arsenal, but that X factor player, that game changer, is probably going to be the difference between Liverpool winning this title and not winning this title. Take Salah out from this team, and the title race is going to be a hell of a lot closer than it is.
110%. And just take it back to, is he the greatest? I think no for me. We
I
had
don't think so. Yeah, yeah,
we had a debate on Kevin De Bruyne last year being the greatest. And when you look at what Kevin De Bruyne done numbers wise, moments wise, medals wise, it trumps Mo Salah. If you ask people the last 10 years, you probably go for him. Obviously, you got your Eden Hazard in there too, and Mo Salah's right up there with those three as the greatest. The greatest to me will always be Thierry Henry. Why? Because
sure.
the way he played, and not just Jack, the way he played. I'm talking about when Henry was on the pitch, it looked like he was just way older than everybody else. He looked like you know them African man that like pretended what they're 30 when they're actually like would pretend they're 20 when they're actually 30. It was that
Right,
he was just bullying
right.
people, too strong, too fast, too this. He looked way too strong and good for everybody there. And the level that he was at, it wasn't just best Premier League, it was best in the world level. It was I was finishing in the top 10 of the Ballon d'Or, or top 5 or top 3 of the Ballon d'Or every single year. That's the level that Henri was at, and that's why he will always be my number one.
The only thing I'll say, which might help Salah's cause, and this is how I want to kind of pivot to this conversation as well. I think you've got to consider him front runner for the Ballon d'Or at the moment as well. It's early, it's March, right? It's March, but I think you've got to say he's in there. He's in pole position for that, depending on how the Champions League goes and depending on other bits and bobs. If he wins another Premier League, that's two Premier Leagues and a Champions League. Go ahead, sorry.
But Jack, I'm gonna flip it. Let's have a bit of Ballon d'Or talk right
Yeah,
now.
sure, sure.
As big as great as Mo Salah has been this year, this is why I think the Premier League bias comes into it. Mo Salah is definitely in the running for that top five without a shadow of a doubt. Rafinha, Mbappe,
It's been great.
Vinny
Yeah,
Jr., Jude Bellingham, Rodrigo, yeah, Yamin Yamal. So many players who has a shout to win the Ballon d'Or, and Jack, as he said, not only your domestic success matters, but Europe matters too. and let's see where
It
everybody
does.
falls. And to me, it's going to be hard to dispossess Real Madrid, but there's multiple people in this Ballon d'Or race. I think it's because Mo Salah's in the Premier League and we see it. It's great. But you look at the numbers of someone like Mbappe. Mbappe may finish this season with 40 odd goals. Just
I would
goals. I'm not
still
even mentioning assists.
I know I would still go back to the competition level, and we've just talked to him about is this the best Premier League season we've ever seen? You
Jack,
can't, I think you kind of have to be in the conversation then.
I got some news for you. I think La Liga's at a higher level than the Premier League this season. I'm just saying.
Wow. So
Don't
so
don't
so
don't shoot me.
so
I'm
high
just saying.
so high that Anthony can come in and him and Isco can make it look crazy over there.
Well,
I don't
Jack.
know. I'm just saying
Jack. We know Manchester United is a graveyard when it comes to players. How many players
that's
have we
true.
seen leave Manchester United and star up? It happens all the time. It doesn't change anything, to me. But Jack, I look at teams like Atletico Madrid, um, Barcelona, Real Madrid, they will be at the when it comes to the elite level of the Champions League, they will be competing there. To win the
Yeah,
Champions League, you have to go through them. To win the Europa League, you have to go through all the La Liga teams. You look at if you look at the records of English teams versus La Liga teams in the last 20, 30 years, it's not even close. La Liga's miles ahead. You look at moments, La Liga's miles ahead, and you look at how tight the league title race is in like Jack in La Liga now. Hopefully, I can get that up right now, Jack. The difference between one in three is literally 2 points, Jack.
right.
It literally changed every single week. And you look at the quality of Barcelona, you look at the quality of Real Madrid. It's so high. It is really, really high. And even Jack, the teams below them, Atletico Bilbao, Villarreal, Betis, Mallorca, they're also Jack in. They're also in a little battle themselves to like see can they get top four. I look at La Liga this season. I look at the quality that like that is in La Liga. I think it's a bit higher than the Premier League. If I'm being honest, for me.
Yeah, you might be right. So let me ask you then. You got three names. Big talking point for Liverpool. They're going to be there. They're not going to be there. I think you and I can both probably sit here confidently and say Trent might be the starting right back for Los Blancos next year, right? Do we think that?
110%. I thought Trent has played it
So,
well. Hasn't said it too much. He hasn't talked so much, and it's kind of glossed by. Not forgetting that I'm gonna get my Premier League title and maybe another league title, and I'm gonna dip. I'm wearing all
while
white next year.
while Jude Bellingham is constantly texting him, by the way,
Of
you know that's
course.
happening. That's a proper bromance.
I'm t
Right, Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah. It's it's not as easy because you consider the age, blah 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 blah. We know money in football. What do you call it? Money ball, right? And all this kind of stuff. You're paying for what a player's gonna give you, not what they have given you, and that's very much the way the FSG guys are gonna work this. Does Mo Salah get what he wants? Does he get the probably biggest contract in Premier League history? Does he get it? Does Van Dijk get what he wants to stay? Is it a 2 year deal, 3 year deal? Are they playing for this team next year?
I hope so because I want the Premier League to still have the stars. But I look at somebody like Mo Salah. I'm just looking at it from the point of view of Mo Salah. You've been with Liverpool for almost 10 years. You've won the Premier League 2 times. And you know how difficult, you know how much they desire Jack to win a Premier League title at a point. He's going to deliver two of them. He will leave as a top goal scorer in the Premier League that season, the most goals ever as a foreign player, and most assists, and could break the Premier League record. He lives when let's say when the final game is at Anfield when they lift the title, he's gonna have all these awards there, and he needs to sit there, have all them out, sit at the top of Anfield, and watch the celebration going on, saying that's a perfect ending. And I don't want to change that. Why would you want to change a beautiful story like that? You either
It's
die
the
a hero
same.
or live long
It's
enough to see
this
yourself become the villain.
which and the villain, by the way, everybody watching at home is earning 400K a week when either you're injured or you're not performing at the levels you've been performing at. That's what the villain looks like in this scenario. Does the same apply for Virgil van Dijk, in your opinion?
I don't think Liverpool can avoid to let him walk. Why? Jack, this guy's flawless. This guy looks like he can play 2, 3 years because he don't break a sweat. He makes
No.
it look easy. Like as great as Mo Salah's been, Jack, Virgil van Dijk has been as good, maybe even better at times Because why? He's so good at defending, you don't even notice how good he is. You don't even notice the little things he does that stop these attacks from happening. Attackers are scared to take him on 1v1. Balls are scared to be put in the boxes while he is there. Little things he does make such a big difference. And even the players, he gives the players around him such confidence. Jack, the year that he was injured, what happened to Liverpool that year? They were so close to not making top four. So I think Liverpool, if I were Liverpool, I'd probably want to keep Mo Salah more than no, I probably want to keep Virgil van Dijk more than Mo Salah, personally.
I
Personally.
mean, I understand where you're coming from, but man, hot take. I'll be interested to see what people think of that. Um, so James, I think we've got how long we got here? 2.5 minutes left. Can we quickly do a Real Madrid thing here? I mean, it's quite something. They're my pick for the Champions League, like they are every single year until they give me a reason not to be. Do you just want to have a couple of minutes on Real Madrid and what you think they might be able to achieve this year?
Well, upon all the stuff that's going on with them, injuries and players going up and down, Jack, they're on course to win the treble. I think for Real Madrid, the most important thing for Real Madrid this year is probably to me to win the league because they haven't won back-to-back leagues in ages. But Jack, you look at the Champions League, this team is just hell-bent and built to win it, Jack. That Atletico Madrid
Yeah,
game is another reason why they're going to win the Champions League. Why? Because to me, Champions League is about moments and great individuals. And you've seen there, if Mbappe don't get you, if Vinny don't get you, if Rodrigo don't get you, if Jude don't get you, if Valverde don't get you, if Endrick don't get you, they got a bunch of boys at the back that's gonna get you. Somebody like Brahim Diaz, who last season done something incredible. I think was it the RB Leipzig game or something like that. Jack, they got so many unbelievable individuals that can deliver at any single moment. And I just looked and I sit there and just watch. Is there better individual? Is there a team that's good enough to outdo Real Madrid in 180 minutes of football in a Champions League game? I don't think so.
can I quickly say too, we've got about a minute left here as well. I know he gets love as like an underappreciated guy, but this is like the Jack Bar poster child of the types of players I love in football. Fede Valverde is unbelievable.
Jack,
Unbelievable. I don't know where they pulled this guy from, how long they're going to have him there for. This guy might end his career as the most like underappreciated, underrated player of all time. I think he's absolutely flawless.
Jack, I'm also gonna put it here, and I feel like what this guy can become. This guy really is the limit for him. And that's Jude Bellingham, Jack. He is to me by
Oh, I
far the
know.
best. He's not by far, but the best midfielder in the world. And the
It's
biggest
all
thing
here
about
though,
him,
isn't it?
Jack, the
Yeah,
X factor, the
mentality,
abilities is
nuts.
elite.
Yeah,
But the X factor and the willingness to keep on going, the relentlessness to keep on running, keep on putting themselves in like the dangerous situations all the time. And when things are going tough, he gonna pull something out of his ass every
yeah, yeah,
single time. I look at just the X factors that they have in the team and the big. Yes, Jack. I just want to touch on your boy Mbappe. I remember
yeah,
Jack is big of a fan you are of Mbappe. You're very skeptical of his career in terms of you haven't been able to do it in a league as big as La Liga. Playing in obviously Liga at the time was for you kind of ducked in max. I never
yeah.
felt that way, but it seemed at the start of the season those feelings that you had were probably right based on his performances, based on his confidence in front of goal, based on his movement when making forward runs. He seemed a lot was going bad for Mbappe. How do you feel now with all the stuff that has transpired recently with his hat trick, with his form, and I think with his 27, 28 goals, looking like he could touch 40 plus goals this season? How is your opinion on Mbappe changed to the start of the season till now, Jack?
Well, it's good. I mean, at the start of the season, there's, a horrible little demon inside me going, yeah, great, good. I knew you couldn't do it in a big league. It's not that I didn't think he could do it in a bigger league, in a more competitive league. It was the point of like giving him loads of credit when he's not performing in a big league, when other big players are. So it's you. I mean, Jesus, you and I talked this to death, but why am I not the biggest Neymar fan? It's because I think he messed up. I think going to PSG he messed up. Messi going to PSG didn't love that either. I just don't think it's a good place for where the top stars should be performing. That's all. Yeah, to begin with, I think a little bit of adjustment time. Again, James, hate to say it, but I feel kind of vindicated in my opinion. I think he probably got to La Liga and thought, "Wow, this is a little more challenging than Liga. Huh, this is funny. This is interesting." But he gets used to the league. He gets used to the patterns of play, maybe some kind of subtle little tactical nuances. Gets to know his teammates a little better. More importantly, for a player like Mbappe, his teammates get to know him. They need to know the runs that he's going to be making and this kind of thing. Obviously, now he's playing with better players as well who can find him. I'm not saying he played with players in PSG, but there are levels to this when we're talking about Real Madrid. Yeah, and over the last what would you say, James? Last couple of months, last 2 or 3 months, I think we've seen a completely different player. I think one thing that they've done at Real Madrid, they've silenced any of the critics who said, "Oh, don't know about if they're going to be playing well together." Vinicius Jr., Kylian Mbappe, Rodri, they're all going to be stepping on each other's toes. I don't like this. I don't like that. Jude Bellingham's going to want to go forward, or they're going to get in each other's way. It feels like there's actually kind of a consensus here at the moment, and we know what's going on. Now, when it comes to big contract renewals, we'll see going forward. I know the Vinicius Jr. contract renewal is going to be a very interesting conversation going forward. But in terms of just pure performances alone, I'd give Kylian Mbappe a lot of credit for going to a bigger league, a bigger team, more pressure as well. And obviously, it was hard to begin with, but we've seen some serious performances out of him recently. Brilliant.
I think what didn't help Mbappe was Jude's start in last season, and everybody looking at that and expecting Mbappe to kind of come the way Jude came last season with all these winning goals. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. Jude was on course to was touch Ronaldo numbers, and that's not even in anything close to Ronaldo numbers. You just know it's not football. It's just not
Right.
real. And even Jude, like, kind of went off the boil a little bit coming to the end of the season. But I feel the biggest thing with Mbappe is that there was a lot to kind of go into it, Jack. The fact of having to fit in three players who want to play the same position in Vinny and also Rodrigo, knowing that Jude played as almost a striker last season. Now he having to kind of change up his position, so it wasn't just one player that was coming in and making a change. It was multiple players having to be moved around and having to sacrifice. But as these players move around the sacrifice, they understand that they're not working for themselves; they're working for the team. And I have to say, like, Rodrigo especially, I have to give him a lot of credit because he's been able to
Yeah.
adapt and get the best out of himself and kind of working bits and bobs. Hasn't been all rocky, hasn't been all smooth for him. Been a lot going on, but he's come on. Vinny, to me, him and Mbappe's relationship on the pitch to me feels a bit rocky in terms of their chemistry, and it could be better overall because there's a lot more goals and opportunities there that they could create more from each other and probably look up a bit more. But where they're going right now, you can see it coming together. You can see that this Real Madrid train is kind of moving, and if they can replicate what they did last season or even go better and win the treble, Jack, you mentioned that word, mentioned that trophy, the Ballon d'Or. Real Madrid may have four players in the running to win it. They may go one, two, three, and four, which isn't
Yeah.
unheard of because Barcelona did it. But yeah, just I mean, this Real Madrid team is definitely in there. But speaking of Real Madrid, Jack, there's a team right now who just won't go away, and that is their arch nemesis Barcelona. And it's been a weird season for them. They had an unbelievable start to the season, obviously beating Real Madrid twice, not just beating them, beating the brakes off them this season has been incredible.
Right.
But they had a bit of a slip up, a couple injuries there, a bit of worry about Lamine Yamal trying to get the best out of certain players, and injuries, especially in defensive areas, had you questioning what was going on with Barcelona. But as they sit on like the good side of the Champions League, and also top of La Liga right now, also in the Copa del Rey. Where do you look at Barcelona? What sort of ceiling do they have for this season? And where do you think they can finish?
I think they can kind of go all the way. I mean, I think they can win the league. I'm still going to back Real Madrid. I think they will just through pure kind of grit and determination. I think they will. Again, I know you mentioned that it's more in the cup competitions that things are won in moments. Well, I'm not going to lie to you. As you get to that last 10 or so games of the season, every game kind of feels like a little bit of a cup game where you have to have that extra time winner. You have to, score that incredible goal that's going to make the difference. I think the interesting mental dynamic for this Barcelona team is I do look at a couple of their players and I do just think about how much longer do some of these guys have at the very top. Again, Robert Lewandowski is 35, 36 years old, maybe. Like,
36, I
how,
think.
how much longer has he got at the top level? I know his style would maybe suit him, maybe playing later on into his 30s.
Hmm.
Martinez, I don't know. I look at the Real Madrid team and I don't see, I mean, apart from the absolutely ageless Luka Modric, I don't see really any positions on the pitch where I go, that's a concern, or oh, there's not a fix to that problem. I mean, again, right back's a great example. Trent's just going to come waltzing into that right back position. Like that's no problem at all. I do look at a striker replacement for Barcelona going forward. What are they going to do at centre back? And again, James, I hate to say this, but it's the cloud hanging over Barcelona at every single turn. It's the financial problems that they always seem to have that always rear their heads at difficult moments. I think they can do it all this time. I would just look at how sustainable it is going forward over the next couple of seasons. And again, it's going to be an interesting couple of transfer windows for them over the next couple. Whereas Real Madrid look set to just continue dominating like they always do.
I feel like with Barcelona, when I look at them this season, so many positive things. Pedri's kind of been able to be fit for a good bit of the season. Gavi's kind of come into it a little bit. Defensively, Jack's playing that high line, playing really, really expansive. They've been able to work well. Obviously they're having issues with the goalkeeper, but they've kind of come to light and they've been able to kind of work that out. I look at a player like Rafinha. Jack, I mentioned Ballon d'Or. His name is right up there, and I know people who put bets on it, him to win a Ballon d'Or. It is on for sure, and Real Madrid can do what they do. I mean, Barcelona can do what they do in the league, in the Champions League. It'll be hard to look past a player like that this season. Also, seeing him also being able to perform for Brazil, he's a player that is coming to me in a league of his own. But this Barcelona team right now, they have what it takes to make it all the way and win this league. And I tell you one thing that I think the world of football needs and demands for the first time ever, we need an El Clasico Champions League final. I think is something that we have never had. We had so many opportunities to have it. It's a bit like seeing Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal in play in the US Open. The fact that we never seen it will always leave a bitter taste in my mouth. And I want a chance to see Real Madrid and Barcelona in Champions League final is something that I think is a possibility this year, and especially with the way the games have gone this year, Barcelona will back themselves so much against them because on aggregate right now, what it's 9-2 in the two games that they've had. So Barca probably want all the smoke there. The question is, does Real Madrid want the smoke?
And I think we know the answer to that. The answer is yes. They got a team full of guys who are going to puff their chest out, and I think it could be 11-2 on aggregate, and they might go, yeah, I think we can probably take them in 90 minutes, no problem. And again, it comes back to the mentality thing. We talked about that with Bellingham, and they've got a whole team of that happening at the moment. So yeah, um, yeah,
But guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I probably have to start going right now. We have a lot to do, but if you can please do me a favor and do Jack a big favor. If you guys just leave probably around 5 questions that you want us to ask in the next podcast, please put it down there and we can ask them. We can just discuss them moving into the next podcast. But guys, thank you
Roma.
for
5 wins in a row, going to win the Europa League. Claudio Ranieri, one of the greatest managers of all time, coming back and just cleaning out. Anything you like, though, whatever. You guys do whatever you want.
Real, if you want to talk about Bayern Munich, if you want to talk about Juventus and what's going on in Serie A, if you want to talk about Ligue 1 and how good PSG is, comment down below. Let us know, guys, what you think. And do me a big favor, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Let's get us to 2,000 subscribers. That would be absolutely amazing. And we'll try to be as consistent as possible. This is Jack and James, Box to Box Full Football. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys next time.